My goodness. We just found out that Dana, who now goes by Dana Sutton, sang, is it at John's
And Betty Weller.
wedding a zillion years ago?
70 years.
My gosh, and then
Years ago.
an old friend of mine from what used to be Kansas City State, Mary Dan, right? My goodness, isn't it wonderful? I tell you, it is so great to do this and to be with you and to discover these relationships that make our lives so rich and go back in many cases for so long. I wanted to be sure we take a moment to do one other kind of recognition. Since this is Veterans Day, I do want to invite both those in the congregation and those in our group who have served, obviously, in any form of military service to stand so that we can show our appreciation for you. And I know there's several from your congregation and several from ours. So, anybody from the congregation? Yes, Roger's back. He's standing in the back. That's right. That's neat. Thank you, Roger.
Marine here.
You're what?
The only Marine here.
The only Marine here. Is that right? I have to check with her. Oh, you've already checked. Okay. We have one change in our order of service that I want to draw your attention to. The prayer of invocation and blessing will be given by Dwayne Qualls, who's seated up here on the front row. Jerry, it turns out, had to return early. He was driven down by his son and their grandchildren, and they needed to get back sooner than he originally had thought. So I express my thanks to Dwayne for coming in. And that's just typical, isn't it? Aren't we all willing to jump in and help when we're needed? And this is just one more case of that. And thank you, Dwayne, so much. As you can see, the theme of the service is Be Wise. And we're going to approach it from a variety of ways. You're not going to have a traditional sermon. You're going to hear from a bunch of us in addressing kind of an extension of that theme that would sort of go like this. Be wise and be ready so you can be a blessing. Because ultimately it seems that the greatest and richest blessing we have is never limited to just ourselves, but when we share it. And we treasure so much the wisdom that we have accrued over time as we've worked in the church, but our hearts are made so full and rich as the wisdom of God begins to live within us, both through experiences that we've had, through worship that we've shared, through the learnings that we've gained. And it enables us then to be prepared so that in our preparation we are ready to be a blessing. And we're going to read later on in the service the parable that is the basis of this theme. But I wanted to let you know the meaning and focus we want to bring to this in a variety of ways this morning. And you cannot help but appreciate how wise God is and how his children, as they walk with him, inherit that wisdom through multiple means. And in that wisdom, their readiness to serve is enhanced and multiplied, so that in fact we live wisely so that we can be a blessing for others. With that in mind, you will see the two scriptures that we picked. I'd like to read them and invite you to follow along. Hear, O you heavens, and give ear, O earth, and rejoice, you inhabitants thereof. For the Lord is God, and beside him there is no Savior. Great is his wisdom. Marvelous are his ways. And the extent of his doings none can find out. And then at that day, before the Son of Man comes, the kingdom of heaven shall be likened unto 10 virgins who took their lamps and went forth to meet the bridegroom. And 5 of them were wise, 5 of them were foolish. I would invite you to stand and sing a very familiar hymn and a very familiar tune as our opening prayer and as our opening hymn, and then Wayne will share a prayer of invocation. Turn there to hymn 118.